All right. Yeah, welcome back. So today is our last day together. The semester, I believe, ends today. And all next week will be demos, right? The project is due at the end of this week. But you are welcome to keep working on it, the due date, even up to the demo day, right? So you should have registered with for a demo with the spreadsheet that the TAs shared with you. And so you should all meet at that time slot with your TA for at most an hour, and you'll demo your project. You'll go through the checklist that we went over last lecture, right? And they'll be asking you to demonstrate features and some of the requirements. And you'll be driving, so it's not like we're going to try and break your application. Make sure that you rehearse this before the demo, and so go through what would you answer to each one of those questions, right? So practice it before the actual demo, so you're prepared, and you can get it done in maybe half hour and you're done, and make sure that that you have a prepared scripted answer to each one of them, and what is it that you will demonstrate for that particular question. Okay. You might want to create users, right? That create a person called Alice and create another person as Bob and Charlie and Dan, that each one has their own particular role, right? So you can demonstrate, if you log in as in this role, notice that you can do this. And if you can log in as someone else with another role, notice that the difference between the two. Yes? So have that already pre-prepared. Also, if you have relationships between users, of users following each other and whatnot, also have that prepared. Have Alice follow Bob, and Bob follows Charlie and whatnot, right? And each one create some sample data that people have posted, articles or likes or whatever, right? So have it all prepared. The TA might ask you to actually do a new post, right? Or delete a post or edit something, or so be ready, right, to demonstrate that you can do that, and show that, yes, look, indeed, I deleted this. Notice that if I refresh, it's no longer there. Notice that I've edited this, right? And notice if I refresh, it's already there. So also have prepared the whatever queries you're thinking of doing with your third-party API, right? That that are gonna answer you with some good data that represents all your good work, right? That you can comment on it, you can like it, you can whatever. Yes. Also, if you're using render.js, the server tends to go to sleep if when you have for a long period, if it's not used for long periods of time. So make sure that maybe, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes before the demo, you're using your app so that the server is ready to go right when the demo starts. Okay, so you're not waiting for the first few minutes, right? And wondering why the server's not responding and things like that. Yes. So make sure that you run this first, right before the demo, and you feel comfortable with whatever it is that you're going to demonstrate. Make sense? Yes. What else? Yeah. So hopefully everything will be all great next week, and within a half hour you'll be able to have a grade for your project. Again, if something unexpected happens, that the server goes down or crashes, and an option would be to demo locally. You'll lose some points if you have to do that. So hopefully you can do all this remotely with render.js and Netlify and everything all ready to go. But again, if there is a catastrophic failure, we will try to fit you in maybe a little later, maybe hopefully that same day, perhaps in a time slot later when everybody's done. and we have some extra time. Worst case scenario, we'll have to fit you on maybe later of the week. That is starts cutting it close to the day that I need to submit all the grades, and I won't have a grade for your project just yet. So you run the risk of there's way too many things happening all at once, and I want to make sure I don't miss a grade for you for the project. Yes. So try to be ready that day of the demo. Yeah, so on the 15th, that's next week, towards the end of next week, we'll have our final exam. It's scheduled for the 15th at 10:30. Again, university policy is that we're all physically present at that exam. Although if you have other circumstances that are legitimate reasons, you can reach out and if you have to, I would support that you could do it remotely as well. But normally, if you're healthy and you don't have any emergencies at home or loved ones and whatnot, you are expected to be here physically. Yes, for the exams. Yes. I don't believe so. I'm not 100% sure where it is just yet. I'll publish. I'll find out and I'll publish it. Okay. Yeah. So this is a sample of questions from prior semesters. It's a smattering of different topics, mostly focused on the second half of the semester. Mostly on RESTful API, building RESTful APIs, creating schemas and models, and integrating with the database. Also integrating the client with the database by creating, using Axios to make calls to a RESTful API. How to process those responses to the front end. So yeah, so we'll go over these questions, and I'll keep track here of answers of those questions. One, we'll have those answers there. Yeah, and I'll share the document with you. Okay. All right, so let's go through this. Now these questions are randomly generated. So a lot of the nouns that you see here highlighted, like televisions and radios, this is from a dictionary of nouns that the algorithm randomly chooses, right? And it generates the answers, generates the question based of several a large set of nouns and verbs and things like that. Also, the blanks are also dynamically generated, so the order is different. Sometimes it'll ask you for the schema, sometimes it'll ask you for the mongoose, right? So it'll put some blank somewhere on the screen, okay, on the question. So no two questions are the same. The intent was that this is designed for online exams, where oftentimes you take these questions on your own, and just to discourage folks from collaborating, which is not the case here. But it doesn't apply to us because we are going to be taking it all together synchronously. Yes, but I just want to just point that out, since you'll see a lot of silly nouns that sometimes are hard to read, that grammatically might not make sense. Okay, but yeah, let's see. So fill in the blanks below to complete the code snippet. Only use lowercase, no quotations, no extra spaces. So yeah, so the first question says, declare a mongoose schema with a field called radios of type string that stores its document to a collection called televisions. So yeah, so it has to have a field called radius, right, of type string. So it's already telling you that. And to create a schema, right? This is just going over whether you remember the syntax for creating schemas. You've done it for assignment 6. You've recently gone through that. So this is with new mongoose.schema, right? So I don't know how I'm going to do this. How would I do that? So question 1, I guess. Can I change this to be numbers as well? I guess so, yeah. So I guess 1 would be schema, right? So schema. And number 2 would be mongoose. Number 3 would be string, right? Number 4 is, so the first argument to schema is the field types, comma, field types, comma. Then the second argument, right, is the configuration of the name of the collection and things like that. So this would be collection. So 4 is collection, right? And the collection that they want is called televisions. So televisions. So question 2. Right, so consider the following code snippet. And so a controller is another name for our routes, right? So our routes was where we declared app.get, app.post Node.js server. Right? Another technical term for routes is also a controller. But you can tell what it does, right? You have the app, which is an instance of the Express library, and then it's being used to declare several routes. Yes, right. And and then you see that these are 2 routes. One is DSA with a path parameter OIU that is calling function EWQ. This one right here. Whereas this one is a path called EWQ with a path parameter of IUI that calls DSA. Yes. So what EWQ is doing is that it's parsing out the parameter OIU, right, on its path parameter, and it's storing it in the session. Yes, it's storing it in the session. And then it responds with the REW params OIU. Yes, right. Whatever parameter, whatever value you have here, it sends it back. And then DSA is just responding with whatever is in the session in IOU, which this one just stored. Yes, so this one kind of stores it, and this one reads it and just responds with it. Yes. So the question is, so if you hit the server with localhost 3000 DSA/321 in this order, right? So in the order, right? If you first hit it with this, what does it respond? Right. So if you have DSA 321, it's right here. So it's DSA 321, and EWQ is doing what? It's reading the OIU, storing it in the session, but it responds with a path parameter OIU. This. So it's 321. So this is 321. Yes? Everybody good? So 321. And then, so what would you see? What would the server respond if we pass this EWQ 432? So 432, so that would mean that IUI would be what? 432. Right, so DSA comes here and kind of ignores the 432, right? Ignores it, doesn't do anything with it with the path parameter, but instead it responds what it's on in the session. And what is in the session? It's the 321 that I just stored earlier, no? Right? So this also responds 321. So both of them respond 321. Now somebody pointed this out, that if these are integers, responding responding with an integer, the browser might interpret this as a status code, right? So if the number is 404, the browser would not display 404. It would say, error not found, blah, 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 right? So somebody pointed that out. So I'm just going to make a point here. Status code. So yeah, I think that's a flaw in the question. It's a flaw in the question that if you're responding with numbers, the browser would interpret them as status codes, and you would see some error message or something like that, right? So if I have a question like this, I would fix it so that you would not have that question. Okay, so question 3. So it says, so I'm giving you a schema, presumably a mongoose schema, called Elderberry. Actually, no, which has several fields of different data types. Okay, so presumably somebody used mongoose.schema to create a schema, right? And things are being stored in a collection called Elderberry, right? And you have these fields, and apricots, mango, and grape, which are different types of string, number, and string. And the question is, which of the following options retrieves a document by its primary key? Right. So which of the following retrieves a document by its primary key? So the primary key presumably is _ID, right? And we have several find functions here, and so presumably these are Mongo or mongoose functions, right? That we can say .find1, .find by ID. Right, so let's see. So .find papaya. Well, there's a syntactical error here because find only accepts an object, it cannot accept a primitive data type, right? So that would not work. This one is syntactically correct, right? Where you have it's an object, that's good, and I'm filtering by the records in Elderberry where apricots is equal to papaya. So yeah, so that would retrieve all the documents whose apricots are papayas, but it's not just one document and it's not a primary key, so that would not work either. Then we have find one, and so find one again. Find one takes an object, not a primitive data type, so that's syntactically incorrect. So then you have find, which we are using the primary key to filter, right? And we're filtering by papaya, so where the primary key is equal to that. So that's the, up to this point, that is the one who's mostly has the most likelihood of being. Let's see. And then we have find by ID. We're passing an object. So this was syntactically incorrect because find by ID takes a primitive data type, not an object. Right? So the only one here that is the best option is this one, since all the other ones, well, let's see, these three are syntactically incorrect, right? 1, 2, and 3, right? But the one here, the .find, we know that the apricots is not the primary key. ID is the primary key, so this one's the right answers, right? So let's copy that. Yeah. You can't overwrite it. You can say that some other field is a primary key, but by default, if you don't say anything, I'm sorry, you would have to declare it in the schema. But we haven't even covered that. Okay. Yeah, we haven't covered how to create a primary key. So primary key by default is _ID. Yeah. Yep. So I'll put the answer here. Also, the question is a little bit misleading, since it says, which of the following options retrieves a document, right? Like if we want one document, right? But we know that .find returns multiple documents, returns an array, right? Not just one document. Obviously, if you filter by the primary key, it'll be an array of one document. Yes, but it could be, the question might be misleading. So I'm going to make a note here if I am to use this question, but find returns an array. So a note to myself, right, to make the question a little more tight. Okay. All right. So let's go to question 4. So question 4. We have a React component that has it looks like it's using a what is this? This looks like a reducer, right? It's retrieving things from a reducer. Yes.
Slightly unrelated, but something in the last exam you had the imports to the same cell, imports from there. I noticed the imports are here distributed. You also
yeah, you should not count on the imports. Okay. Are you saying as a clue or?
That's something that tripped me up in last exam.
Yeah.
Every practice I did, the imports like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather not have the imports. If you're not depending on the imports. So only because, to make the less verbose, the question less verbose, it's just this little code snippet, right? So from the context, right, you should be able to, right, tell that this is from a reducer, right? That you're reading some state variable from a reducer, right? And that you should be able to say, use select. The only thing that could go here is a use selector, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. I mean, I can keep them in there, but usually it's just code snippets, right? All right. So here we have the we're clearly reading from a reducer, right? Called desks, right? And so we're pulling out some state variable from there, so here we would need to use a use selector, right, to read from there. Then it looks like here we are retrieving a dispatch, right, so that we can talk to call some functions in the reducer. So we'll need to grab a dispatch using the use dispatch, right? Here we don't know yet what to do here, right, because the syntax here depends, right, depending on how data was. The initial state was set up in the desks. We don't know. We haven't been told yet. So sometimes you would need the curly brackets here, and sometimes you don't need the curly brackets, depending on how you created the initial state, right? So we don't quite know. Notice that there are no curly brackets. So this probably gives me a clue that this is immediately exactly that. Whatever the desks returns is exactly what is being assigned here. It's just a variable, no need for the curly brackets. And usually my questions, I say, don't use any special characters, right? Don't use square brackets, don't use curly brackets, don't use any punctuation. So that's what I would expect here, right? That you don't need to destruct, right? Whatever that is. And so my expectation is that this is also desks, just like that. But I don't know yet. Let's keep reading. But let's keep track of this. So we have one, sorry. Oops. 1, we don't know yet. 2, we know that this is use selector. And for 3 is use dispatch. All right, so let's keep going. So all right, so here we have a use effect that is calling a fetch desks, right, on a synchronous function that is doing an await on some a asynchronous call, right? And typically to make that asynchronous call, you would use a dispatch and make that call, right? Yeah, so this is something we did not cover in this course. We didn't cover thunks. Thunks is like a mixture between a service, like a client call, like when you do the awaits that talk to the server, right, and a reducer. It's like a marriage between the two. So we didn't cover that. I think it added unnecessary complexity. But so this part you won't see a thunks in your exam, right? So no thunks in our exams. Let me put that in. Let me put that in. No thunks in this exam. Nevertheless, I will keep going. This is a dispatch. So we're going to call a dispatch here. And then the asynchronous call. You can think of this as a service call, right? When you make the await go out to the server, right? So kind of like our clients, right? When you bring all the client functions, goes out to the server, talks to the server, comes back, and this syntax just dumps the data right on the reducer. So anyway, this would be find all desks thunk. So that'd be 5. And 6, this is so you're inside of a UL desks and you're iterating over this, right? So okay, this is what gives us the clue. This is giving us the clue that this is the data that we extracted from the reducer, right? So 1 would have to be desks, which is what I expected, right? Because the state variable in the reducer is called desks. We're not doing any destruction, right? So this must be desks. And this is what gives me the clue that indeed it is. So 1 is desks. Six must be a map. You're mapping over that array. Here, this is as you iterate over the desks. Here you have each individual object desk, and which probably has a field called desk ID. So this would be desk.desk ID. And 7 would be also desk. Right, so right. Okay, so yeah, so you should expect, all sorts of acronyms, again, randomly generated, randomly selected from a pool of acronyms. So there's about 20, 30 acronyms in this course. So from this pool, you should expect maybe 5 questions of acronyms. So here's one of them, SPA. So SPA, so it stands for single page application, right? Then we have API, application programming interface. DOM, so document object model. Interface. Okay, that's it. All right, so here's a question on reducers. So using the newer syntax of using slices. So we have the create slice import. We create a slice. The slice is called WM. And we have an initial state variable of HD is equal to 8. And then we have 2 reducer functions that one of them increments state.hd plus 3. Notice that this is our state, right? Right, and the name doesn't have to be called state, right? It's just a variable, whatever we want to call it. So yeah, so this increments the state variable by 3, and this one decrements it by 6. Right? And so down below, right, we export the actions, we export the reducer, and then somebody in the somebody is providing that store, right? It's calling the reducer WM. right? And then providing it to the application AP. And then the application AP, right, imports the two functions from the reducer, right? VB and WM. I think one of them added, what was it? One of them added 3. Yeah, one of them adds 3 and the other one subtracts 6. So I think what this adds 3 and this one subtracts 6. Yep. And then here you have the selector destructing, right, from the reducer is extracting the state variable HD, which has an initial value of 8. Right, so HD is 8. So this H1 renders as 8. Yes. And then we have two buttons that if you click one of them, pause VB, does a dispatch on VB, or right, if you click the other one, it dispatch WN. So the question is, what happens when this first loads? What does it render as? What is the first rendering? So it renders H1 renders as 8. Right, so this renders as 8. So this is question 8. So question 8. So the first thing, this one is that it renders as 8. This renders, if you click on, now if you, if you click on DG, the button DG, it'll call VB, which adds 3. Right, so 8 plus 3, you get 11. And then, right, if you click on NQ, right, you subtract 6, right? So you get 6. No, wait, no, you subtract what? 8, right? I forget. What do you subtract? You subtract, yeah, 6, sorry. All right, so question 9. Question 9. So question 9 we have, so this is kind of like a client file that is talking to a set of endpoints, right, on the server, right, so a whole bunch of APIs, and so with several CRUD operations for creating, reading, updating, removing, right? And so the question is, okay, we'll fill in the blanks. So let's see. So you have an async here, so it must be that 6 here must be a wait. Yes, 6 must be a wait. 1 must be Axios, right? So this is Axios. So 1 is Axios. Then what are 2, 3, 4, and 5? Well, it depends the operation that you're doing, right? So if you are creating an avocado, then this has to be a post, right? If you're following RESTful API conventions, right, the best practice is that you use a post to create data, right? So 2 would be post. And 3, because you are reading from the server avocados, then 3 would have to be a get, right? It's an Axios get, you know, for following good practice, RESTful API conventions. Then 4, if you're updating something, meaning something is being changed on the server, then again, the best practice RESTful convention is that this is a put, right? So 4 would be a put. And finally, if you are removing something that is already living on the server, right, the best convention using RESTful API would be that 5 is a delete. And finally, 6, right, these are all asynchronous. Right, so these would have to be an await. Okay. All right. Okay, so question 10. Oh, this is 7. Oh, this is 7. Oh, 7 here. So Right, probably I need to pass in the avocado ID. Oh wait, so this is a read, right? So here you're reading. I don't need an argument. Here I do need an argument for avocado ID here. Yeah, so all these would need avocado IDs, right? All three. So there would be a 7. So yeah, to make these random, I have two options. I can make these the names of these variables gibberish, like ABC, XYZ, QWE. Do you prefer that, or these randomly generated nouns? Which one is easier to read?
Yes, I think
Words, actual words is easier to read. Okay. Even if sometimes syntactically looks weird and they don't make any sense.
I feel like if sorry, I feel like if they're all like fruits,
Yeah.
they're random words, then it makes sense. Then it's like a car and a fruit and a house and a country.
Okay. All right. Right. Yeah. Makes it hard to parse. Okay, I'll use the random words. Yeah, I have a vocabulary of words and verbs and things. Okay. All right. The challenge for that random generator is that sometimes it have to be singular, sometimes plural, right? Capitalization, and so it's the random generator gets stuck sometimes. This has to be a singular with a appended ID. So yeah, it's not trivial. Maybe that'd be a good homework next semester. Create a random generator, question random generator. All right, so here's a reducer. So here you have thunks. Okay, so no thunks. So I'm going to skip this question. Yeah, I think thunks is a great technology, but it's really convoluted to teach and to learn, and I think everybody got very confused with thunks last semester, so I dropped it from this time around, and I think it simplified things quite a bit. But I do encourage you to take a look at thunks on your own as an alternative to synchronize the client and the server. In particular, it allows you to keep it to handle intermediate queries. Like for instance, when you send a request out to the server, there are several states. One of them is that I've sent the request and I haven't yet heard back from the server. So your request is pending. So the request has a state of pending, which you can use, for instance, for turning on a little spinning bar, a spinning clock or something, right? Then it could be that if you get an exception, it gets it was failed, right? Or it was succeeded. So you can maintain those kinds of states, intermediate states, which I think it's very useful. But again, it was students did not appreciate that. All right, so question 11. All right, so consider the following schema. You have a professor with these three fields, which have nothing to do with one another, with avocados, project, and lime. And which of the following options retrieves all documents? So this is just verifying that you know your syntax of using Mongo or Mongoose, right? So let's see, find.professor, no, right? Usually it's first the collection and then the function. So that's not it. Just the collection, no, that's not either. Professors that find all, well, no, that we haven't used find all at all, right? So that should not be it. And then there's find. Find does retrieves all the records, right? All the documents from the from the model, find all pass a variable. We haven't seen that either. And find, so none of these look right except this one in the middle, professor.find. So I'll go with that. Question 11, customer update. Let's see. So we have a customer update. And so presumably maybe it's a screen that allows you to update customer information, presumably. One looks like it's reading from a params, so a parameter encoded in the URL, although we don't know the name of that param. So presumably later somewhere there must be some kind of route that tells us the name of that parameter. Yes, that's what I would expect. Also, we're declaring here a state variable with a setter, and then we have a function that updates the customer that we presumably are calling this function that actually goes out to the server to update the customer. So this must be kind of like a service or a client, something like that. Probably this customer service here. See that customer service? So probably 4 is customer service. I'm going to go with that for now. This is question 12. I'm sorry? There is no await. Yeah, I would have expected here an async, right? And an await here. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how it's built down further. Maybe the await is inside of the update customer. Maybe, I don't know. But you definitely has to be a service call, right? So I'll go with 4 customer service here, customer service. So this I don't know yet. Don't know. So this looks like it's customer service. Here's another example of this one's properly written, right? I'll make a note here. I'll make a note. Thank you. And so here you have a fetch customer ID. Looks like it's being invoked when this first loads, right? Call the function. And this is also a customer service calling the find customer by ID. Customer ID presumably is what we parse from the parameters. So this must be called customer ID, the ID of the customer that we are updating, right? So that's a clue that customer ID number 1 is customer ID. So I'm going to go with that for now. Oh, then here we have set customer, right? So that looks like a state variable. Like I'm updating a local state variable, right? So 3 probably is the state customer. And the state variable probably is just customer, right? Customer and then set customer, which probably, if I keep reading, we should see that state variable is being used elsewhere, right? Yeah, there it is. See that customer name? Right. So the state variable must be called customer. Yes. This over here, this customer, yeah, this is a local variable. Yep, that's true. State variable. This is a local variable that has nothing to do with the state variable, right? And it's very common, right, to call this the same name as the state variable. So this is we're not reading from it, right? It's on the left side, right? So we're writing to it, and then we're using it to set the state variable. Yeah, it's okay. So this is what do you call it? It's shadowing, right? The higher scope customer. Yeah. So set customer here for so 3 is set customer and 2 I'm guessing is also customer. So I'm going to go with customer set customer. So this is why I don't like using variables that have meaningful names, because it becomes obvious, right? Immediately. right? Just because you read these variable names, right? Immediately it tells you what this is doing, right? And you can just fill it out without even thinking. Which is not the case if I use randomly generated variable names. You actually have to think through it, right, and see what where every one goes, and that everything matches.
So easy
Right.
to misread that.
True, that is true. So maybe fruits and vegetables might be a nice medium, because usually when you're building something, you've seen so many examples on how to create whatever, right? And so you bring that experience with you to a new job or a new project. But it's true that that also becomes some kind of baggage. It doesn't allow you to think outside the box and say, well, what other ways could I do this, right? I've seen this pattern, right? Which is good, you know, to have a kind of like a design pattern, things that I know work, right? And I can just, I can solve 99% of everything. And, but then the challenge is when you go into a new domain, right? That you've never worked in, right? Maybe, you don't know anything about chemistry or physics or whatever. And you're asked to build an application for this domain of which you don't know anything, and you don't know the vocabulary, you don't know how to even spell these things, right? And you don't know the relationships between the various nouns, right? So you're ignorant of that particular domain, right? So if I say customer, right, you already know what a customer does, right? And there's a whole bunch of affordances that go along with the concept of a customer or client, right? But if this were a molecule or an atom, or be some other a particular topic that you don't know anything about, then you would have to be a little more attentive of what you're doing, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. How can I make this so that you really need to think of it, but you can still parse it? All right. So yeah. So 4. So 5. So down below we have a 3. This is an input field where I can type and change the name of the customer. And so as I type, I am setting the customer. I am I am copying the old fields of the customer, but I am overrunning the name. So this must be name, e.target.value, right? And so 3 should be set customer. Let's verify that I did that. So 3 is set customer. Good. This must be customer. There it is, customer. And 5 must be name. So I am updating the name of the customer, and I'm overriding the e.target.value. e.target.value. Okay. All right. All right, so let's look at question 13. So this is a controller, which in our world, we refer to them as routes, right? Controller is another technical name for routes. And down below, we have the declaration of the routes, right? And so this is kind of like the mirror image of an earlier question, right? That had the client creating avocados, deleting avocados, right? So that was on the React side. This is on the Node side, on the server side, yes? Right, so this is creating the routes for creating an avocado. So if you are creating an avocado, then this should be a post, right? And if there's an update, then 3 must be a put. If you're removing an avocado, then this must be a delete. These 2 we don't know yet, but from the URL, this must be either a read operation, because we're reading all the avocados, right? In that case, this would be a get, right? Or it must be a put. It must be a post, right, for creating the avocado, but we already have a create avocado, so this must be a read operation, right? So this must be a read. So these two probably are read operations, so which have not been used yet. So it must be either read one avocado or read all avocados, right? All right, so in that case, this would be a gets, right? So it would be post, get, put, delete. All right, so let's fill that up. So this is for question 13. So this is the post, get, put, and delete. Okay. Let's see what else. So these typically when you are updating or when you're removing an object, you have to provide the primary key of that object. So this is probably a path parameter with the primary key, which we don't know the name of it yet, right? Because it doesn't say the name, but somewhere here we must be parsing that path parameter, and that must be a clue, and it must be in the read operations probably, right? 8 and 9. Well, 9 at least, or at least these two, update avocado and remove avocado, must be reading the primary key from the path parameters, and actually they are. There it is. See that? It's reading the primary key from it must be the request params, right? Request params. So this gives you a clue on what number 5 is. So number 5 must be avocado ID. Right. And 6 must be params because we're parsing the path parameters, right, from the request. So this must be params. Then 7. So in updates, remember in update, typically we need 2 things. We need the primary key of the element that you're modifying, and then also we need the updates, right? The new values of the new fields that you have updated. Yes, right? And usually we encode or we pass that to the server, embed it in the body of the request. Yes, right? So if this is the parameter for retrieving the primary key, then this must be the body. Right, we're extracting the avocado updates in the body, right? So 7 must be body. And then 8 and 9, right? 8 must be the, according to the naming convention, RESTful naming conventions. If I'm doing a read operation, right, this is the one that allows me to retrieve all the instances, right, of the avocado. So there must be a function that does that, or that retrieves all the instances, and there it is. So there's read all avocados that is doing a read all avocados on the DAO. So that must be 8. And whereas this one, notice that we're encoding the primary key. That means that we are trying to read one single element for that particular primary key, right? So this must be a function that just retrieves one of those instances based on the primary key, which I'm guessing it's this one, read one avocado, which indeed it is doing that, right? It's parsing out the primary key of the element that I want, right? And then retrieving that from the database, okay? All right, so 9 is read one avocado. All right. Make sense? Everybody good? All right, so here we have a schema, a model, and a DAO. So this is just asking you to fill out these blanks, right, to make sure you understand how DAOs work, right? It's declaring a schema for a lamp that has a name, price, quantity, description, image, and it's being stored in a collection called lamp, right? And here I broke the naming convention. This is supposed to be a plural, right? So let me fix that. So that's question 14. So we have those fields. Some of them are numbers, some of them are strings, right? The name must be unique. right? So we're exporting the lamp schema. Then in the model, right, we import the lamp schema, and Mongoose we create the model, we export the model. Then in lamp DAO, import the model and create several CRUD operations, right? Create lamp, find all lamps, find lamp by name. Then I guess one of them probably updates and the other one deletes. I don't know. We don't know yet. And then fill in the blank to create a data access object, a DAO, to create, retrieve, update, and remove LAMP documents from a MongoDB database using the Mongoose library. Yes? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is so here you have the create LAMP. So notice that all the operations are probably going to start with the DAO. Sorry, we are creating a DAO. Sorry. We're creating the model dot something, model dot something, model dot something. Yes, going out to the model, this Mongoose model. So the model here is LAMP model. So 1 is already LAMP model. Yes. So let's go with that. So this is question 14. So 1 is LAMP model. Then 2. We are creating new lamps, so this must be dot create. Yes, so 2 is create. Then 3, we are finding all the lamps, so this must be find dot find. Then 4, we are retrieving the lamp by its primary key. Then this must be find by ID. So 4 must be find by ID. So find by ID. Then 5, we are retrieving a lamp, right, by their name. Okay, and so we give you the name of the lamp here as an argument, and we are filtering by that name. And so let's see. So this could be what? This could be find. That could be fine, and that would work, right? It would come back with what? With an array of, it would come back with an array of lamps that have the name of lamp name. But the other option is that this is find 1. Both would work. One returns an array, whereas the other one returns a single object. Yes? Right? So one will return an array of 1, and the other one will return a single object. So the question is a little bit misleading since it doesn't really tell you which one to use. The only clue that it says that you should use find 1 is that the name is unique. See that? It's unique. So it would not be the case that you would find 2 lamps with the same name. Yes? So you would typically just return 1 lamp because it's unique. You would only return that object. Yes. So in that case, the better option here would be to use find 1, not find. So find 1. So not find because name is unique. Then 6. Let's see. Well, not a lot of clues here, right? Clearly, these are either delete or update, right? We have those 2 options left, really, right? We've created, we have retrieved. So we've done the create operations, we've done the read operations. We're left with the updates and the delete operations. Yes. Now the clue that one is update and the other is delete is that one of them takes just a primary key, where the other one takes the primary key and the object. See that? See that? Right? So for the delete operation, we only need the primary key. But for the update operation, we need both. We need the primary key and we need the new values of the object. Yes? Right? So that is a clue to tell you that 6 and 7 right? 6 is an update or update 1, and then 7 is a delete 1. So it would be for 6, it would be update 1, and for 7 would be delete 1. And then 8 and 9 are the names, update and 9 could be delete, could be remove. Right. So I'll take either one. So for 8 would be update or save. And 9 could be delete or remove. All right, I'll take either one. Probably I would make the question a little more specific so that it's clear that's one or the other. Here it might be ambiguous. All right, so let's look at 15. All right, so you have a painting schema with basically the same fields as before. You have a name, price, description, quantity. So this one is evaluating your confidence with creating Mongoose schemas. Right. So you have we're creating a Mongoose schema here. So mongoose.schema. Okay. So let's create that. So question 15. So 1 is a schema. So schema. 2 is what? That's the type is string, right? The type is string. So 2 is type. So 5 and 6, I'm not quite sure. Let's see if we can grab some clues from below. It says fill in the blanks to create a schema that meets the following requirements. The fields price, likes, and quantity are all numbers. So price, likes, then it must be this one, likes. And quantity, right? So this one, that one are numbers. See that? Okay. So that means that 4 must be number. Yes? So let's do that. So let's do 4 must be number. And quantity is also a number. So this must be what? Type number, right? Type here, and then number. So 2 and 4. So 2 is type. 2. I think we did 2 already. Yep. And then 4 is number. Oh, we did that already. And 9, it must be likes, right? Likes. So 9 must be likes. Okay, let's see what else. So 3 must be what? Okay, so fields, field description, review, and name are all strings. So description, review, and name are strings. So description is string. So 3 must be string. So 3 must be a string. So 5. Okay, we don't know what to do with 5 yet. So it says, if a document is inserted without field quantity, then the field is added with an initial value of 0. See that? Right? So if I don't provide the quantity field, a value for it, right, then it will default to 0. See that? So here we have, so quantity has a type of number and the default of 0. So 7 is default. Also, if we try to insert a document without the name field, then the document is not inserted. You get an exception back. You say, oh, no, you cannot insert that because you have not given me the name attribute, right? So how do we do that? How do we enforce that? Well, name here is of type string and it must be required. Must be required true. Required true. So 5 must be required and 6 must be true. And finally, the new documents are stored in a collection called painting. Right, so 8 must be collection. So 8 must be collection. So collection. And then we have 10. I forget what 10 was. Is a string. Oh, okay. This must be review. Right. So we have name, review, and description are all strings. So 10 must be review. Everybody good? Right. All right. So question 16. Okay. So we have consider the following code snippet. We have a team list. We have a state variable. Right. So this is probably 3 is use state, initializes the state variable to an empty array. Right. We have this is probably teams, and this is set teams. I'm guessing. I don't know. And we have a delete team here that is an asynchronous call, calling a team service delete a team with a team ID, and then it updates the local state variable teams. Right, so set teams probably that 2 must be set teams, right? And 1 is probably just teams, right? But we can corroborate down further that we're iterating over teams. We are. There it is, right? So the state variable must be teams. Yes. Right. So 1 and 2. This must be teams, and this is set teams. Yeah, these questions become trivial when you don't use random names. You sure you don't want more challenge? Use state. So 3 must be use state. So you have use state over here. And then we have a 4. So 4 looks like we are doing what? So that kind of tells us this is a dispatch. See that? I'm sorry, it's a use effect. So this must be a use effect where we are initially fetching all the teams and then populating our local state variable so that we can render the teams. Right. So let's do that. So we have a 4 must be use effect. Then 5, as we are deleting a team, what are we doing here? So we are first removing the team from the remote server, right? So we're sending the team service a delete call, but then locally we are going to update our local array of teams by filtering out the team whose ID, right, we are trying to remove. So this is probably filter, right? We are saying teams.filter. Right? I only want to keep the teams whose ID is not the ID. This is what it passes an argument, right? So 5 is probably filter. Let's go with filter for now. So filter. And 6 down here. So 6 is so teams, right? I'm fetching all the teams. Probably I'm using the service to find all the teams, right? And the service is called team service. So 6 is probably team service. Then 7 is just map, right? We're mapping over the array of teams. And 8, right, is just comparing, right, making sure that we only keep the teams that are not the ID that we are removing, right? So this must be team ID from the parameter. All right, I think that's it. I'm sorry? Oh, there's a 9. 9. Where's 9? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so this is us calling the function, right, so that it runs unload. Question 17. So 17. So we're here. We are we have a schema called stakeholder, which with the fields or revision, which is a string, a chart, which is a date, and a topic, which is a date. So which of the following options retrieves documents whose field revision is equal to orange? So this revision has to be equal to orange. So how do we do that? So this is just testing your knowledge of syntax of the find function. So find with square brackets, yeah, that doesn't look right. Right? A find with a property colon a value without a curly bracket, that's probably syntactically incorrect. That's a little better, right? We're saying it's an object, right? It has a property, it has a value, but there is no property called orange, right? There's no property called orange, so that's probably wrong. Here we're passing a string to the find function. That's not right, right? Find does not take a string. So find only takes an object. So the only two, so here's one, right, that takes an object. It is a correct field, revision, and it's filtered by orange. So that looks promising. And that's another string. So it looks like the only one that has a better chance is this one over here, right? That passes an object. So let's take that for 17. Then question 18. So we have the guava reducer, and it has an initial state of a whole bunch of guavas, right? An array of objects, a particular object, right? Then whether I'm loading or error. Oh, this is a thunk question. Never mind. No thunks. No thunks. Oh, that's it. All right, that's all I had for you. You could also expect some questions from the first half of the semester, right? Some simple HTML questions, some simple CSS questions. No Bootstrap, right? So I'm not going to ask you to memorize any Bootstrap classes or anything like that, right? You should know the basic CSS commands of background color, foreground color, right? Float, left and right, display, none, right? Things like that. Display block, right? Things like that. CSS. React. React. I mean, we've iterated over React. You should obviously know the basic mechanisms of being able to show content when inside of you have a predicate that has to be true, and when it's true, it shows something, and when it's false, it doesn't show it. Right? We've used that a lot. Definitely a routing question, kind of like the ones where if you click something, then it passes values to a function, and that function then uses that to calculate something, and it responds with that. To take a look at some of the lab exercises in the Node.js assignment, where we click on a link, right, and we navigate, we pass some parameters, and then it spits back some response, right? So take a look at those. Yes.
Is it open book?
Yeah, everything's open book, open slides. You can take a look at your own code, bytecode. You can look at the GitHub repository. Just don't use ChatGPT, right? And you can't use an IDE, right? And obviously no communication devices or chat or anything like that, right? So everything is your work, based on any notes that you might want to bring, any code that is available on your Git repository or my Git repository. Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry? I don't know that I know. Do we know? L? What? Auditorium, what's it called? L? How do you spell that? ELL, really? Okay. I don't think I've been there. Where's this?
I think it's on your student list. It's not on your student file. No, is it Jenny? No, it's on your my schedule in your student.
You can also go to.
Oh, this one. Oh, like the really, really big one? Oh, wow, okay. Really?
No class. You kind of just like give you a little. Oh, it doesn't. No, it's my schedule.
Oh.
Oh, so you're saying that's a,
You can search schedule.
here?
Yeah.
Why don't I have it?
So yeah, I'll put the schedule up and scroll down to class.
Oh, yeah. L.
So is it?
Although
It's L.
Really? Wow, okay.
They don't put a note on Piazza. Usually professors just want to see.
Campus, oh, yes, please do that. Banner. It's not calling me. All right. Oh, it is. Whatever works. So is it here, class schedule?
there it is. That's it.
Okay, L Hall, all right. All right, 10:30, 12:30, L Hall, December 15th. Okay, perfect, thank you. Everybody good? All right, thank you. Had a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed the course. I hope you feel, confident that that you can build anything, right? That you can tackle anything and whatever else you can find out. All right, awesome. Thank you. This weekend. Oh, 5? Yeah, 5 should have been assigned. No? Yeah, should have been done. Yeah, should have been done.
I booked my flights 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I booked it for the 13th. And because one of my finals, which was in person,
Yeah, yeah.
remote on the 15th. So would it be possible for me to take a remote?
Sure.
Thank you.
Can you provide a list of the acronyms that we need to know?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to send you an email as well?
No, that's fine.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm sorry, say again?
So will I need to like,
Can you
finish in New York for the final?
No, I'll remove access codes like a few minutes before the exam.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
As I confirm one more time, I do have to travel next week.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, so join the Zoom posted on Piazza.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a nice week.
I have a quick question about.
Okay.
So basically, I'm doing it with the like American Library API online, and the like premise is like fake reviews for books and everything.
Okay.
I guess I'm sort of wondering, since I have like users that are authors that can make their own books, and like
Mhm.
I understand how to like save those to a database.
Mm,
Like, how do I handle like books from the API that people are leaving reviews on?
yeah, so you would have to create an object to represent those books in your database. And at a minimum, the ISBN number, or maybe, and maybe just the title. So the
Yeah.
title and ISBN number,
And then I can look it up.
and then, so anything to minimize having to go out to the server again.
Okay. like-
But you know, the minimum,
Mhm.
maybe to just list it in your profile, right? You know,
Yeah.
my favorite books.
Yes.
So you have maybe a title, maybe a thumbnail, or URL, or
Yeah.
that you can generate the thumbnail maybe.
Um,
But you know, but not everything you would need in the detail screen. If you go to the detail screen, then you would just go and fetch everything else from the remote API with the ID.
So the review.
Right, so reviews and, you know, synopsis or whatever, right?
There can be like two different book objects. One is like the book
So
object.
one that you're
and-
caching in your database.
Yeah.
So that you can create the relationships
Mhm.
and have it conveniently displayed in your profile
Yeah.
without having to go out to the server,
Mhm.
right? Going out to your database, to your API.
Yeah.
But then the detail screen, right, that has, you know, extensive, much more information, that you should go out to the remote API for that.
Okay, so only store the essentials.
The essentials, because if you store just the ISBN, if you only store the ISBN, then what are you gonna display in the
That'll look
profile?
every time.
You're gonna, if you have 20 books that you like, you're gonna have 20 queries out to the server to fetch just the title.
Right,
That'd be very expensive.
that makes sense.
So might as well just cache that in your server, in your database. And then in one call to the database retrieves 20 books,
That makes
right?
sense.
That are your favorite,
Right.
okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, so I get time on Sam's
Okay.
account towards the final too, so I just wanted to check in, because the time isn't correct on. here,
Yeah,
and
so-
and Also, so for example, when I want to just do the same, so.
Yeah, can we do that?
Yeah.
So
yes,
you're,
please.
oh, is this you? Maybe, wait a minute. No, that's not- Bye-bye, take care. Dashboard, so you're section 2, right?
Yeah,
And so this is exam 2.
yeah, so I think right now it's. for,
So you are?
Elizabeth Leah Kelly. Oh, I spelled it with an S, sorry.
Yes. Is you?
Yeah,
So you got 50 extra minutes? So it's 100 minutes.
oh, so it's 100 minutes, okay,
Yeah.
because I thought it was 2 hours, no, then that's fine. then.
Yeah,
I
okay.
just thought. Okay, and is it okay if I take it on Zoom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
All right, take care.
Thank you so much.
Do we have questions online?
Could you provide the list of the acronyms that we need to know?
Okay, I'll try to gather them, but you know, they've been in the assignments. You know, anything we've used on the assignments, but I'll try to bring them all together and provide a list of acronyms. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'll provide it in the Word document, the Google Doc that we've been looking at. So I'll do that there.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
a good idea. What else?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.